Hello all. I'm very excited to introduce Pia, a dynamic professional whose career journey spans both the transport and water industry. And with a solid foundation in the transport sector, where they excel, she has brought over her expertise in our small water world. Pia, would you like to do a quick introduction of yourself and why you're interested so much about water?
Thank you, Christos. And I have to start off by saying thank you so much for everything that you're doing in this small family of water. It's a very conservative realm, but your work I think, in being fostering knowledge and really sharing the current research and trends in this area are so important, and being also inclusive for people who are coming from other areas. So this
Correct.
translational part of research into water is really you're carrying on the fort, carrying the torch. So my name is Pia, and I have worked over 30 years in the transportation optimization sector in IT and data and algorithms for optimization with Edgelog, who is the world leader in pupil transport optimization in America, and also running their operations here in France. In 2016, I came to Arabia with our president and discovered the desert, fell completely in love with the context of water and water scarcity, and decided to devote or develop this passion to finding solutions to how we can better manage, all of us can, as a human population, how we can manage water in the desert and around the world. I actually started my
2016,
career.
right?
Pardon?
That was starting the water in around 2016.
2016. Yeah, it was the first
Which
time I
was
came to Arabia. So
which was
before I
more or less the time
traveled.
I started as well.
Oh,
Well,
okay. So we're yeah.
my journey in the water world.
Good. Yeah, our first deep dive is there's so many great water metaphors that we can use in this in this space. So, I actually began in a very wet part of the world in Washington State. You can tell from the accent. I was born in Seattle and then lived in Port Townsend, Washington, where my very first job was working on environmental impact statements at the Planning and Building Department for a wetlands context and along a coastal development. So I've been involved in kind of from a policy standpoint because I'm also in this very small town in France where I'm living now, called Fas. I'm also on the town council. I was on the aquifer, the watershed commission in the previous mandate, and then on this mandate, I've been on the waste management commission. So looking
Britain,
from a policy level to the questions of water and waste management.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Brittany has a water issue, especially during the summertime, right?
Yeah, we're known for having a lot of rain. People make fun of us for having a lot of rain, but we do have, oddly enough, we have very few and shallow reservoir nappe
Aquifer?
phréatique or aquifers. So we are currently France does not have municipal desalination, but this is something that at a policy level I'd like to begin a discussion on, because I think that as in terms of if we're looking at the results for how aquifers are dealing with are being managed around the world, we are a very agricultural region, and there's going to be a limit to how much we can depend on rainwater, and on managing. We have we're dealing with different, like the water leakage issues in the distribution network, but I would really like to be part of the around to maybe considering desalination as part of the water management strategy in the future. So we'll see. That's a
That would
future
be
discussion.
great. But you have been part of other discussions as well, and the most recent one was in the EDS conference in Egypt, correct?
Yes, it was. I was so happy to be part of that. It was the very first time I've been to EDS, to the Euromed conference. Then the first time international global conference I went to on water was during Expo Dubai. There was the Water Business Forum on March 22nd, so International Water Day in Dubai, and that was the first kind of moving from the area of transportation and mobility into water. It was the first real kind of introduction to the issues that are being faced at a global level about dealing with water and water management. And so brine valorization, as you know, is my passion and has been really the focus of the work that I've been doing. So I from 2022, I began to work with industry, so the utilities, local utilities in the Arabian Gulf, to kind of interrogate them what they're doing about brine and how we can improve the process of treating brine rather than as effluent, but treating brine as a resource. Because I think that it all, at the end of the day, is going to come down to CapEx and OpEx, as we've discussed several times, and these environmental concerns. I was also back at COP28 with Leonard Rabin of Haltica, who's my reference for hydrogen questions. And we were involved in a lot of conversations there about the environmental impact of brine into marine environments. We can talk.
I would say not only as it's not a matter only of capex and opex of the treatment of the brine, but losing water with the oncoming water stress worldwide means that you are throwing away viable resources. Yeah, starting from water and ending to salts and minerals. So
Exactly.
we can talk endlessly about this topic and what we can do to improve the image and commercial potential of this space. But what are your main takes from the EDS conference and also on this topic? Did you see more, let's say, researchers and presenters coming up with solutions for this problem?
Yes, so it was a very, very positive experience. So yeah, we can come back to the idea of water loss and transmission networks. I was just actually for a transportation question in Martinique, where they're dealing with 50%, I think, water loss in the transmission networks. And so I agree completely with you that the whole water cycle is something that there's places to be looked at. But so when we come back to EDS, I have my flyer. This was for everyone who is at Euromed in Sharm el Sheikh. We had these great small reference guides that gave us the list, kind of the overview of the program day by day, the lists of all of the papers that were being presented and the researchers. And since my company, so Euphrates Energies, bridges the gap between industry and research institutions. So we work with KAUST in Tuwal in Saudi Arabia and Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi, among other researchers around the world. And it was a really great experience. I think overall, the big takeaway was it was a great experience to be able to come directly into contact with the people who are doing the research into the fields of brine valorization, into thermal desalination, because there are still a significant population of thermal plants out there. And we have to also consider thermal desalination. There's all these thermal plants in operation, even though RO, reverse osmosis, is the technology that is coming into it's being mandated as the technology around the globe for new plants. So I think that that there were three highlights for me. The first one was definitely getting the chance to see these presentations and understand the research and talk directly after a presentation, to be able to go and talk to the people who are actually doing the work, if it's on forward osmosis, to have such great access to the experts. And even through your contacts, being able to talk to Eric Desormeaux, whose name I'm mispronouncing because he's American, but I pronounce it the French way.
I don't bother to say his name because I'll massacre it. So
okay. So we can just call him Eric. So Eric from Energy Recovery, just having access, also, so I think Junhoom King, also, who's one of the premier researchers in the world on membranes for hydrogen, for electrolyzers, was just you run into them at one of the receptions, these. It's just a great experience for that. So that was the primary takeaway, is the access and the ability to really interact with the people who are making the kind of the science that we're going to be using and then that we're going to be seeing in the next years moving forward.
It's like a small family, right? That you keep meeting again and again every summer. And I think EDS has done an excellent job, on this. Tracy, Jochen, and the rest of the EDS members, yeah, are doing their best to bring us all together.
Well, like I mean, I can only echo. It was I really did have that sense of family. It felt like, I mean, from an American perspective, it felt like homecoming, where everyone who's known each other for so long in this industry were came back to kind of like catch up and see, like, what are you working on now, and also, but just instead not just being, it was very inclusive. So even for people from different domains who might be bringing, like, bringing ideas from the outside of the water industry, which is, as we've always said, very conservative. It was very welcoming and very inclusive. So I think from Mirjam Balaban, Tracy, so Ursula, now Olga, Galina doing the work with the management, and also with thanks to the groups in Egypt who welcomed us to Sharm el Sheikh, and who gave us a great overview and just a wonderful welcome to that area, that region of the world, so that we can understand what's happening in desalination and projects kind of over the long-term policy projects in Egypt. So definitely it felt like family, and just like this, like, almost ideal family of friends and people just devoted and passionate to the topic of water. So just really great contacts from, as I said, Eric to, I mean, Christopher Fellows, Chris East, like Beatriz from working in Mexico, and Guillermo Zaragoza, who was presenting the work in the Canary Islands. Research on membrane desalination in the Netherlands. One of the things so I've talked about so the first takeaway is family and the wonderful feeling that you felt at the Euromed. And I launched the invitation that not everyone was present. For example, you couldn't be there. We missed you, and we hope that
I miss you all too.
next year in Portugal, that people will be able to have people, researchers from KAUS, for example, will be able to be present too. The second takeaway is I really, really loved the first day devoted to green hydrogen. I think that is so important. Our focus of my company is we always talk about the energy water nexus, and I think that green hydrogen, for me, it's the two hands to one problem. We cannot separate water from green hydrogen for obvious reasons, and our industry needs energy, and hydrogen also needs water. So
water and energy go hand in hand, and the thing is that for hydrogen production you need desalination, and with desalination come brine. And in large volumes, economy of scale, it means that there is potential for brine concentration and brine valorization. And I don't know how to convey this message more clearly to the hydrogen people. And I think this should be one of the commercial priorities of the water industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely. I mean, we can talk about the pros and cons of using desalinated water to run electrolyzers. We do have a bunch of different technologies that I would say that, I mean, it needs water. Electrolysis needs water. It doesn't necessarily need desalinated water, because then you're adding that cost of desalinating your water into the process of producing hydrogen. But if you could use the brine, which is our kind of, if you could use the brine to be as a source of water through techniques to filter, like we talked about, there's a number of techniques, membrane distillation being one of them. If you could produce your ultra pure water for hydrogen instead of depending on desalinated water for electrolysis, that would be great. So Danielle Frank was also a great contact at this conference. So I really hope, one of my wishes for the future would be that a Green Hydrogen Day would be included in Euromed, because I think that's so important for moving forward, just to consider the two together. It's not distinct problems. These are issues that go together.
In general, let's try to bring as much industries as we can in order to cross-pollinate ideas and commercial opportunities. Mm-hmm. Mining industry is another potential big mm-hmm. client for the water sector. Mm-hmm. And I think the more we communicate outside of our very small professional bubble, the best for everybody.
Exactly. No, and I'm gonna launch a challenge to you, Christos, because I think that you're in a kind of a unique position with your experience in the water industry and your contacts. I think that you should kind of help organize a kind of maybe fireside chats about brine valorization. I really found the webinar that you did with Nikolai Vuchkov and Eric Desormeaux the really valuable because one of the things that when we look at this program, the only issue that I would have to say about Euromed is that there was so much going on and so many sessions over the days that were often happened consecutively contemporaneously at the same time that it was really important for me. I had to be in on a session on energy loss and energy recovery, but at the same time there was a sessions on thermal desalination and on brine valorization. So if there were a way that maybe you can bring your panel of experts and friends and contacts together to kind of put a highlight on each, maybe on the topics that people are engaged with in their work, it would be great. So I'm
Definitely.
hoping this is the first of a long series of fireside chats with Christos about brine valorization.
I wouldn't put myself as the host, but definitely we need more. That's an excellent idea. Yeah, we definitely need more roundtable chats during the year in order to better convey informations, uh, information and exchange ideas. And yeah, like 2 or 3 days of conferences aren't enough to
Mm-hmm.
network and absorb all the information that you need. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So um, let's challenge also EDS and the other organizations, perhaps. But I'm more than happy to keep doing as much possible, as much of these video chats as possible. Bring
Mm-hmm.
people together. You and me will definitely have more conversations in the future. Right?
Actually, and I have my third takeaway too, if you let me use my third takeaway from EDS too, because it started off with the Great Green Hydrogen Day, and then it kind of came full circle on the last day with sessions on data and AI. So we began with the green hydrogen, kind of coming down to the molecule, splitting the molecule, making the energy, and how that plays into the water cycle, and then ended with data and II. And so from my background in transportation and IT and data, this was like a excellent kind of closing and kind of a leap forward into the future for where water could be going. I think that Ratul Das of Aqua Power, Sandro from Radiant presented their work with optimization algorithms for the data sensors for a plant in Algeria. And then Ghulam Mustafa presented his colleagues' work at the former former SWEAK, and now the new SWA, Saudi Water Authority, on predictive intelligence in sensors for vibration sensors for pumps. So I think that for me, this is really it comes down to data and the work that I know companies like Schneider Electric, for example, is doing great work in diagnostics data and using data to move forward, because I don't feel that we have the luxury of time at this point in the water industry. And we can make fun of ourselves saying that we're conservative, but we don't have 30 years to figure out the problem of brine valorization. And I think that we need to use the tools at our disposal to optimize, to move forward and start considering brine as a resource.
Uh, yeah,
That's my third takeaway.
that's pretty much it. The thing is that yeah, that there are significant problems to deal with. This is the relative costs, yeah, for the end clients, and without any serious project references, we cannot push our commercial agenda forward. And this is what I've been trying to explain also in my presentations in the recent Aquatech in Amsterdam last November, that we need to push the projects ahead in
Mm-hmm.
order to fill up this technology space pipeline, project pipeline, for the years to come, instead
Mm-hmm.
of trying to debate about optimization, about what is the best case solution. Let's go ahead. Doesn't matter how efficient something is, but it needs to be out there in
Mm-hmm.
order for people to see that it's actually happening. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
not a lab or pilot scale idea.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, it has to be supported by, we come back to policy too. It has to have government support, it has to have industry support. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And we are just know it because of confidentiality agreements. I can't talk about projects that are underway, but there are projects in brine valorization in the Gulf that are happening today that we're involved with, and I'm really proud to see that. I think people from the outside say, "Oh, yeah, there's the industry will never make the move," but there are industrial partners who are innovating and being disruptive in this area that we always say, "Oh, water will never move," but there are initiatives from the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed's the X Prize, for example. There are initiatives really to motivate and mobilize people around the idea of a better sources of water, better safe sources of water for all moving forward into the future.
Indeed. I would like to thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
insights in the of the water industry and the EDS conference. I will be looking forward to meeting you online more in the future. I'm pretty sure we will have for the opportunity to post something in the months to come. I would like to wish you a good day. And
Same.
if you or any other is coming over to Amsterdam, I will be very happy to buy you a cold beer here.
A cold glass of filtered water too. So, so thank you so much, Christos, and also thanks again to the great team that organized Euromed. And looking forward to seeing all the progress next time. So keep up the good work.
Have a nice day. Ciao, ciao.